Street politicians, baby. So how do y'all feel about politics now in America? How do y'all feel about it?
I don't like it. I don't, it's too much, man. It's
Too much?
It's unbalanced.
What do you mean when you say unbalanced, Sean?
It's just a one-sided free-for-all when it comes to living. I would think that you would want it to be even, for it to be a society that it has to have balance, and then to understand how to live long and do better when it comes to the emissions. So it's just, it's really a little mess right now. It is. I mean, when you really look at it in a nutshell, you can talk a lot about all of this, and then the racial tension, and that's like, it's like, wow. It's like, oh man, what are we here for?
Right.
That's kind of why I said it's too much. It's like, when you think about it, it gives you a headache, and it's almost like you see why people are off the grid, and some people are like, man, I don't even want to watch the news. Some of this stuff is really overbearing, and it's like, it's non-stop. It's like, hey, this is Korea, it's a war. It's like, wait a minute, groceries. It's like gas. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. Right. Good morning.
America has become so just over the top, so extra, so it's so hard to get from A to B when it's supposed to be what they call the land of the free. You understand what I'm saying? So, Shaquan, when people come to you like at your door and stop you to vote for this and vote for that, even on a lower level political platform, what is the first thing you think about?
I feel like there's no politician out there that's really for me. They're all for self. And I'm just being manipulated to go with whatever they want me to go with.
Okay.
I don't think they have my interest at heart at bay. I feel like they just trying to get my vote by pleasing me with whatever they think I want to hear.
Right.
I don't really think that there's anybody that's really for the people.
Now, I think they just want to check, because
Exactly.
you do get a check for being a political
Exactly.
being a political party. How do you feel about that, Arnella?
The same. I feel like they're just there for to get a paycheck. They're there for whatever benefits them.
It's the new hustle.
It's for whatever benefits them. They're telling us to cut down on things, but then they're living like the lavish lifestyle that they're still living. So.
I get it. So here at Street Politicians, we love to jump right into the topics. Now, our first topic, drum roll please. Gun control. Now, we all know that gun laws and the gun control is so much difference between the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. So my first question to my panel is, how do we feel about our gun laws now here that it is 2022, about to be 2023? Brittany.
I personally feel that I don't think that gun laws are actually enforced. I think that it is more of a political view where they say that they have something in place, but in reality, who is able to access these things, such as people who are unstable, people who are, mentally not well, they have access to go purchase guns whenever they want. They don't have to go through an extensive background check. They are more than welcome to just go crazy, and then they shoot up schools, they shoot up churches, they shoot up stores, and the politicians say, well, we have gun control implemented here, A, B, and C, but in reality, I don't feel safe as a citizen because of all these things that are going on. I shouldn't be able to walk down the street and an 18-year-old has a gun, and it's just, especially in an open carry state such as Texas, they just have it on their hip. I just want to go to the grocery store and you have a gun you know, flashing in front of me, how is that supposed to make me feel safe?
Right.
So I don't necessarily think that it is implemented properly. I think that they say that they do it just to kind of get people off their backs. But I think that the laws should be, I think, implemented in a different way, or it should be tightened up as well.
Now, B. Cruz, I know you deal a lot with kids, with your clothing line and things and whatnot. When you're around some of these kids, do you even hear like gun talk, gun play, like them taking it funny as a joke, like a new hobby, a thing to do? You know, and have you ever ran across a young kid carrying a gun, a pistol? You know, because my thing is, America, how are these kids getting guns? Because someone has to make them. Then you have to purchase them. I mean, are they just passing out guns like trick-or-treating candy out here or something to these little kids? So what do you think about that, Cruz?
Hey, you know what? Being around the children and just the community, they play around with toy guns. Even toy guns, I'm like, okay, you guys are teaching them at an early age that they're very comfortable with them.
Yes.
You know, they point them, and the cops and the robbers, and some of these games that they're playing, you're ingraining them at a very early age, and they're okay with it, because by the time they're 12 years old, they're gonna be okay with walking around with an AK-47, because when they were 6 years old and 3 years old, they had it right. So for me, it disturbs my whole spirit, and I'm like, man, you're literally grooming, you know, the next
killer.
Yeah, you know, and literally being able to just they're running around with them, they throwing them, they aiming them, you know, and it's like, this needs to be regulated. Even the toys, the manufacturing companies, they need to be some type of age limits. Like, for example, like with video games, there's limited, like, for example, like mature, E for everyone. A lot of sports games are for everyone.
Okay.
They need to have the same thing with some toys.
Okay. Now I know Ornella and Sean, you are two members on the panel that has kids. Do your kids even ask for toy guns, and do they want to play cops and robbers and shoot 'em up, bang bang? Is that a thing for kids still? Because it was when I was growing up.
Yes, unfortunately it is. You know, whenever the kids get to on a playground, they don't want to play on the playground. They play cops and robbers, and I was a little distraught, like in the beginning, because I just was like, well, is this my kid initiating this? But all the other parents were on board with it. So sometimes I feel like, a lot of times what I do with kids is I don't put that much stress on it, because I feel like if I put that much stress on it, then they're gonna be like, oh wow, then it's a really bad thing. Mine are still little, so I'm kind of letting them just kind of be kids for now. It's things that they're learning in the playground. But as they grow up, you know, and they get older, I'll definitely take like a more of like sit down approach and teach them about guns. And
I'm glad you asked that question. As you know, that I'm a guard, armed guard, fully armed. They see me dressed, they see me all the time. Dad, are you a police officer? Yeah. No, I'm not a police officer. Well, you dress like them. Are you a captain? I'm like, well, no, I'm not a captain.
Yeah.
They're like, does your gun shoot? Yeah, it does shoot. So, but the thing is that it's okay to teach your kids safety when it comes to guns, and don't let them be scared of them, because you never know in a dire need situation. You know what I mean? That's just you're right as a parent, and not just with anybody strange that you see, you know, stranger danger, things of that nature. So just say,
and sorry to cut you off, brother, but at what age do you take your little daughter and your little son out and say, now here's a pistol, learn how to clean it, here's a safety, when to fire?
It's different with every parent, I would think. You know what I mean? How if a person can afford the gun,
right?
Or if a person just going to like air gun places, paintball gun places, things of that nature, let them understand about how to use it to be safety, and that it's all types of sort of ways how they look at that. You know what I mean? And you know, kids, you know, getting into a gun situation. I'll give you a scenario of something that happened to me at the school. A kid came up to my child and said, "I'm going to shoot you with my water gun." My son said, "Oh, you gonna shoot me with your water gun? I'm gonna shoot you with my dad's. He got a real gun." So when he said that, the teacher was like, "Okay," but we had a meeting, we talked. She wanted to ask a question. She got her answer, but that child should not be going around saying that, because you never know what answer you're gonna get when it comes to things of any introduction of a gun. Should have never said it on that right there, because you never know what the answer you're gonna get. So to the answer to that, man, it's just safety first.
I got you.
And then
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Big Cruz.
And then while we're on this topic, so for example, I was actually in Las Vegas when they had the mass shooting at the Mandalay Bay Hotel, right? So it was a music festival, and before you know it, it becomes a mass genocide damn near, and everybody is running for cover. So literally, they had the anniversary a couple weeks ago, but being in the city, and every news channel now looks like CNN because it's like, whoa, what's going on here?
Right.
And then weeks later, everyone's like, Vegas strong, Vegas strong. And it's like, wait a minute, man, this actually happened.
Right.
You know, and at a Mandalay Bay resort hotel where there's families involved. So I'm talking about children, you know, it's people that they're relaxed, they're at their leisure, their guard is down. It's Las Vegas.
Right.
And now out of nowhere, it's an alarm situation, and people are scattering for their lives.
Got you. I remember that. That's a good, man. That was hard.
Right.
That was hard to see. Well, America, you hear our topics on gun control. Please feel free to chime in, email us, DM us, hit us up, tell us your topics and your views. We would love to hear it. Now, this is Street Politicians, and we got more to talk about. So our next topic, drum roll please. Abortion. Oh, my stomach hurt. So abortion is a very, very popular topic right now, and to be honest, it's always been a very popular topic. Laws on abortion seems to always change here in America every few decades or so. So here's our views with Street Politicians. Now, abortions for me, I feel that it should be a agreement between the two, if that is possible, because everybody's situation is different. I don't personally feel that if the woman has an opportunity to include the man in the decision, I definitely think that that man should be included in the decision. So, Arnella, you've had a child and you are married. Congratulations on that. How long now?
Oh my gosh, married for 13 years.
13 years. Clap it out, Arnella. Here we go, Arnella. Cheers up. So, abortion.
So if you would have asked me 7 years ago, I would have just been like, what woman would want to do this? Now, because I struggle to have kids, I went through 7 years of trying to have kids, infertility, treatments, IVF, failed ones. So 7 years ago, I would have said, why? Like, I would just do anything. I would give anything in my life to have been that woman. Now that I have kids, I have 2 beautiful in vitro babies, I'm a little bit more calm about it, and I do understand that it is my body, my choice, so it should be that way. As Lance said, if the other partner wants to be involved and wants the child and the woman doesn't, then I think she had sex, she got pregnant, that's the consequence. Now if the other parent wants that child, she should carry that child and just give all parental rights. I think that's what it should be. Because I have known dads that didn't have that. They wanted the kid and they didn't have the option because the woman just made that
So
decision.
you're basically saying that instead of running to abortion being the first option, how about it be more so of giving up your parental rights?
Yes.
Or
If the
an
other
adoption, maybe.
Or if the other parent wants to
Yeah.
take care of it.
Right.
I think the issue,
Brittany?
sorry,
No,
I
go
think
ahead.
the issue with that is the fact that the woman would still have to carry the child. And if the woman didn't want to carry the child, for me, I'm pro-choice. So if you, just because I'm not going to get an abortion, if you feel that's what you need, I am supporting your choice because you know what's best for you. But I will be damned if somebody sits here and tells me what I can and cannot do with my body. I understand we made this decision to, have sex.
Yes.
I understand this could have been a consequence, etc. But if I'm choosing not to carry because, whatever reason, health issues, etc., then the person who would have been my partner, I know it's a little sad to say, but they don't really have a choice because I know what's best for me and my body.
Gotcha.
And there are differences where people women just go get abortions just to say, oh, I got an abortion, which I personally don't understand. I think it's very damaging to your body, that whole process. But that right there, that is not what I would call a respectable abortion. I would say you thought about it, you know this is the right choice for you, this is something that you've decided to do. It is your body, my body, so I'm gonna do what I feel best for me.
Okay.
Personally, that's just,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sean, your views?
Hey,
you have
I
kids?
mean, I'm fair, man. I'm like, hey, it's your choice, your body.
Okay.
That's what we like to
I
hear.
came from a woman, so it's like, hey,
You better. You have no other answer to that.
Okay.
Shaquan,
Who's
how do you
next?
feel about that?
I am definitely pro-choice. It's your body, your choice, regardless of that interference of that man. It's you who has to go through that trial. So it's ultimately your choice, regardless of what any man has to say about it.
or policy.
Policy.
Or
Right, like law.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like,
Policy.
Right.
I was like, when they write it, they be like,
Yeah.
you can't do this, you
Yeah,
can't do this in that state and that city and this. You
Clause
can't do that.
4B.
We're gonna
Yeah.
pull down all of this, and we're gonna lock you up, and we're gonna lock you up because you heard about it.
guilty
I'm just
pleasure.
standing there. I'm just standing there.
So in some instances, what would you consider okay abortion being like a positive thing, like to do? What would be some situations?
You
like
were
you mentioned raped. Okay,
You're
raped.
too young.
Yes.
Hey,
Okay.
incest,
Incest. Okay.
rape.
If you don't want the child, if neither one of you want
Right,
that child,
yeah,
then
makes
that
sense.
child is better off not.
So an
being there
unhealthy-
'cause yeah.
An unhealthy
Agreed.
situation.
Okay. Now, curveball. What about the religious aspect of abortion?
I just look at it the same thing, the choice. But if it's whatever their religion that they practice, then they go by that, you know, and that's how I look at it. But it's still a woman's choice.
Okay.
I think in the end, for me, it all comes down to choice. It doesn't matter what religion you're associated with. It doesn't matter, what your thought process is. I think that in the end, it's going to be your choice. Even if you believe in God, I can believe in God and then feel this child is not right for me, and I can go do what I need to do. But that's my personal choice. So in the end, if you don't want it, then you know what you're going to do or the next step, versus you still being forced to carry, and the other option is adoption or whatever the case may be. You're still being forced to do something that you don't need to do or want to do. And yes, I understand safe sex, these practices. Yes, that should be practiced 100%. But again, if you have a child or you fall pregnant and you don't want the child, you should have that right to choose not to.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first, America, with street politicians on our views on abortion. So please chime in, email, text, tell a friend. Y'all talk about it. Have your own little street politician party at your crib. But you just invite us.
Please invite us.
Invite
I want to come.
You see that? He wants to be there.
Yes. Because we definitely want to hear from you guys. So please stay tuned because we got more with street politicians. Everybody take a sip. Street politicians.
Hey.
Yes, sir. Now, we're going to roll right into our next topic. Drum roll, please, because we get down to business. We got things to talk about here. We talked a little bit about it in our last topic. Let's jump right into religious freedom. Oh, religious freedom. Now, you know that opens up a whole can of worms. Religion is not
What you end up being.
what it used to be. The Catholic Church has evolved in very many different ways. You got Baptists, you got
Pentecostal, Kojic.
Mormons.
Need I say more?
right. So, Big Cruz, religious freedom.
Hey man, for real, it's like everybody do what fits you. I tell people what this is not a one size fits all world we live in. So what fits you, what makes sense, do it till you're satisfied, then do it some more.
So you satisfied till you do it too much.
Right.
So I know you come from a different background. So what about your religious freedom beliefs?
So I grew up Greek Orthodox, and it's just because I grew up that, it doesn't mean that I'm going to continue practicing it. I feel like everybody should have the option to just practice whatever religion they want to. They should have the option to talk about it freely without imposing it on other people. Like, that's just, as long as you are respectfully, you know, can have a conversation with someone about your beliefs, that's great. But as long as it's just respectfully done.
Shaquan, you want to chime in here?
My thoughts on religion. I grew up in a Christian household.
Here to us.
So I know the concept of loving God, putting God first, but I ultimately think the construct of religion was to control people. So it has its good values, but
Emphasize.
it has been so corrupted that it's to control people, thoughts, bodies.
A business.
I agree to that.
It's become more about money
See.
than it is about the true love of God and people. Woo!
She's getting ordained.
Because if you were to say, if you were truly of God, you will be able to accept people regardless of their
Yes, amen.
All right. Free.
Yeah, it is Sunday. Give it to us, girl.
That's right.
Amen.
Sean, come on, Sean.
Hey, I ain't trying, you know, I ain't shit.
That's all the follow.
Don't get me started.
Have an app now.
What's it there?
The cash app is open.
That religion thing. It's the same thing, man. I just, whatever you practice, and pray and just always ask for forgiveness. You know what I mean? When you go through things in your life, and pray for others.
So you think it's okay for just people to be able to switch up their religion and practice
Well, I mean,
different things, try
like we
different
said, at the end
things?
of the day, it's a choice that you already know within yourself, subconsciously and constantly on your mind, what your belief is and how you feel about it. So it's hard to say something about on the other side that we don't know. We
So-
read the Bible. But
So my question to Brittany, what if you come from a family, your whole family is Kojic, and they just strong believers in Kojic, they really go by the bylaws, and then here you come, and you want to switch up the game, but your entire family has married into Kojic, into community, but you want to step outside the box and maybe try Catholic, Baptist, Buddhism, well, how do you feel about that? Do you think that would affect your decision, or you would just want to move on with what you feel?
Personally, I've actually gone through a situation like this because I grew up Mormon. So,
Okay.
surprise, a Black Mormon. I know. Not here anymore. I'm just spiritual, not religious.
Wallet over there, my wallet.
Slowly, guys.
Check.
Oh my goodness. So with that being said, I remember that growing up with my family, everybody believed in Mormonism, and that was just the way, that was the truth, that was the light. There was no other religion. If you believe that, you're completely wrong.
Right.
Well, at some point, I started to realize that church and what they believed in and said didn't match the people that were inside of it. So it just kind of made me, it kind of made me realize that they are hypocrites and they're not practicing what they preach. And there was a lot of racism as well growing up in the church, which was unfortunate because God says love your neighbor as he loves you, correct? So why would you not love me because of a different shade of my skin from yours? So I just started to realize all of this, and then I ended up leaving the religion around 18. I was basically shunned from my family just because they believed in it so hard. And, I didn't want to disappoint my parents, so I decided to try to inch my way back in. But I left because it didn't feel right anymore. Then I went back and I was like, well, it still doesn't feel right. So then I eventually ended up leaving for good, especially when I saw, the movement for BLM, and our church didn't support it. And then when I saw gay marriage, our church didn't support it. And it's like, these are people, these are human beings, and you're practicing to love them, to be kind to them, no matter what shape and size they come in, no matter what form, but yet you're still picking and choosing who you want to be good to and who you want to support. So for me, I just couldn't get behind it because you were being a hypocrite about what you were preaching. So to me, it didn't feel right. So I think it's important for everybody to, it always boils down to you. You have the choice to believe in what you want, believe in who you want, do what you want, do as you please, because how would you feel if you had an activity and somebody just said, you can't do that, just because they don't want you to? How would that make you feel? Not good. So it boils down to choice. And I'm glad that I stuck to my guns because I did feel bad. I did kind of cower and like, oh, I'll get back into the church because my family and I don't want to look bad. But I didn't care because the church, for me, my experience was not a good fit for me personally. So I thank you so much. And it was tough because that's all I knew. All I knew. So I think it's important that we have our own choices.
Right. So when it comes down to the religious freedom, if you take the religious freedom from individuals, do you think that that could be the beginning of something more tragic? Like it's just the religious freedom now, but in 2 years it's gonna be our firearms, or it's gonna be the way we raise our kids. America's gonna go to more of a dictatorship if they snatch your religious freedom and say you cannot do this, or you would be shunned, you would go to jail, you would be fined if you go against your religious beliefs. Do you think that would be the beginning of telling me what I can and cannot do?
Yeah. So first off, assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
There you go. No, I'm not Muslim, but for example, being around.
You look Muslim. you do it real good. We got bean pies in the back going for $5.
Bean pies and newspapers coming soon.
I got some.
Street politicians.
I got some.
But when you are around a various of cultures and religions, you learn from each, household and neighborhood, and some things fit. It's like, okay, I like that. I'm gonna adapt that to what I got going. So for me, I'm a walking church. I'm always giving knowledge and game and ism, and it's one thing. Yeah, so it's one of the things where it's like, hey, for me, it's reach one, teach one. Let's pass this knowledge of earth on to the next generation.
Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome. Well, there you go. You heard it from Salaikum Salam right here. Right here on Street Politicians. We gonna tell it to you. This is concerns from the streets. I'm trying to tell you. Please chime in on our last topic for our episode today, which is religious freedom. B. Cruz, appreciate you.
Always.
Arnella, thank you for coming. Shaquan, thank you for coming. Sean, thank you for coming. And Brittany, thank you for coming. These are my panel friends of Street Politicians, and I'm your host, Lance Gardner. Thanks for coming, y'all. Stay tuned. Check us out. Street Politicians, baby.
Where's your wallet? Yeah, where's your wallet?
Where's the wallet at?
Guys,